that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour Podcast pre-game episode. Of course, I'm Ray. I'm being joined by my special guest co-host, comedian Ashley Pontius. Ashley, how you doing? Of course, you just got done wrapping up with your podcast as well, the Quality Time podcast. So you literally went from that rolling right into this, and I appreciate it because Matt couldn't make it today. So, I was like, oh man, I'm good that, Ashley said, she would do it. So, that helps out a lot.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I'm happy to. I mean, honestly, every week, what am I doing on my podcast? We're talking about a horror movie. We're talking about having massive amounts of diarrhea. And we're talking about who has the best tits in the business. I was already prepped. I was ready.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was like, all right, well, now I don't have to clean my basement up as much, because I do eBay stuff, so there's shit all over the basement, inventoried, and I went out as soon as Halloween was done. I went out to Target, bought as much 90% clearance shit as I could. Went to Walmart, as much 90% clearance shit. If it doesn't sell now, for some reason throughout the year, it'll sell here and there. But once Halloween rolls around,
I totally believe that. Well, because I think people look for deals on to some degree because they know, just like you do, that sometimes buying off season you get really great deals, but also you never know if there was a piece you were looking for in your area and you couldn't find it. Someone on the West Coast, East Coast, somebody might have the piece you were looking for.
Yep. And that's exactly, and I mean, I sold two of the items already. I think I spent about $190 for almost $1,000 worth of stuff.
Wow.
And I had already, one of them was the Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters movie. It was a costume without the proton pack. I bought that for like $234, and I just sold it for $20 because the movie comes out on Friday. So I think the person bought it to wear it to the movie. And then also there was random little wooden light up crow string lights.
Okay.
I bought them for like $1.50. They bought them for like,
hell yeah.
So I'll make $7, $6 off of
them.
Yeah.
But no, it's super smart because with having quality time, like our podcast. So I have a sponsorship right now with Warehouse Cinemas out of Frederick and now Hagerstown. So I like to go to some of their horror releases and their events. And I love doing like cosplay or something referencing like the new release. I did the same thing at Party City. That's another one to hit up after, because I got a Child's Play party set for Chucky. I got a whole set for $5 and it was normally like 15. So
holy shit. That's not bad. Yeah. That's not bad at all. And it's funny because I'm getting ready to do this, and I was like, let me run out and grab something to eat quick. So I asked my wife, I was like, hey, do you want to get something to eat? She's like, yeah, let's grab Wendy's. So I'm like fucking just stuffed full of Wendy's right now. And it made me think, have you ever when you pick up stuff in the car, and for anybody that may be watching right now, or may see this later on, how do you pick up your cup when you're in the car? Because like me, it's always the claw machine grabs the top and pick up. And that leads to the whole thing of if the idiot in the window or whoever prepared your drink did not put the lid on properly. And I've had this happen before where you pick up said lid and cup just drops like an atomic bomb and you see everything explode.
So here's what I do. I do the claw, but I test. I do a low raise because you can start to feel it pull away.
Yeah.
So I do a low raise. If I feel it, I'm like, okay, this is a defective cup. I don't have a choice. So then I do that. And I'm also left-handed. So I drive with my left, making it easier to reach over with my right. Yeah. The other thing is sizes are not what they used to be. They are now huge.
Oh, yeah.
And like mediums at Wendy's are massive. Yeah. And trying to fit my itty bitty hands around the cup, it's so hard.
Yeah, I got a large, and they gave me like one of those like storage containers with a straw in it, and they're like, "Here you go, have a Rubbermaid storage container with the straw." I peed 4 times, like 15 minutes before we went live, and I'm like, "Man, with the show, I got to live the gimmick. I got to drink beer." So at some point, I'm probably gonna have to get, because I got all that soda and now beer in my system, and I'm just kind of like.
I get it. Well, I've decided from now on, it's how I measure a dude's dick. And they're just like, how big is it? And I'm like, it's a McDonald's regular. And they're like, okay, that's not bad. But then I'm like, no, it's a Wendy's medium. And they're like, how do you walk?
And one thing with that too is like when you said you test the lid first, like you test the cup. What I do is like when you go in, like I don't know if you go into McDonald's, or whatever. I like to get sweet tea. So what I do, I test that shit beforehand because you have no idea if that's pure cane sugar or tea that's coming out of that damn thing. So I'll be like, take a sip, and if I die instantly, if I fall on the floor from how sweet it is, then I go, okay, yeah, it's gonna now be half and half. This is what it's gonna.
So that's the thing. I love McDonald's sweet tea because it is so sugary. It would kill Tommy Simbazo. And it is so delicious, but it irritates my IBS. So I think I sit there and I go, I'm going to drink this, but I need to go find the nearest bathroom within 5 minutes. But I do it to myself on purpose.
I'm just going to sit in this random porta potty on the side of the road and I'm going to just chug this down and then just let it rip.
If anyone claims they have never drank anything while on the toilet is a liar.
Oh, I've drank all kinds of stuff on the toilet. I've ate while I was on the toilet. Like,
I didn't want to say it, but I too have eaten on the toilet.
Yes, I have eaten on the toilet. Absolutely. Like you sitting there, you're drunk and you don't know when the shit's going to come out, but you're sitting there drinking your beer and eating a slice of pizza, or you just come out, I need to get back to the party. And then you just fall on the floor once you're done. You don't even wipe or anything like that. Just
correct. There is a very famous story from my college years. I got very drunk right after turning 21 because I was about to graduate. And I woke up on the toilet. I don't know how many I had, but I looked down in my lap and there was a plate of pork chops. And they each had one bite taken out of all the pork chops. And the girls come in and they're like, where did you get the pork chops? I was like, I don't know. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, these are my mom's pork chops. I got them out of the fridge. They're for church tomorrow. So we told my mom that we all got hungry and ate the pork chops because I could not face her, letting her know that my fat ass sat on a toilet and ate a plate of pork chops by myself.
We were in Ocean City one time, and I may have said this on the podcast before. I'm not sure, but if so, then people are going to get to hear it again. But we were in Ocean City and we were drinking, and we went to 7-Eleven, and we went to 7-Eleven, and we literally bought. This was 15 years ago. We literally bought everything that was in the hot window, all the hot dogs, all the burgers, everything. Like they were like, what do you want? We were like, we want everything. And they're like, are you sure? Yes, we want everything. Like, did we stutter? We may have, we're drunk, but we want everything in that window. So we went and we got everything in the window, went back to the hotel. I think we ate one hot dog and then we passed out.
So my God.
And then my one friend woke up. He woke up in his bed because he fell asleep in the bed with the bag. Shit all over the place and all over him. And it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this?
Boys are gross. I'm just gonna say
it. And it's like, so all this stuff, blah blah blah, this, that, and another, like,
no, I mean, I'm pretty good. Those were my younger years. I mean, now I do it sober, which is more embarrassing. But no, I cut a fake commercial we did today for Olipop probiotic soda that I started drinking. So it's a very low calorie soda made with fermented stuff to help with like irritable bowel. And Erik had me cut a fake promo for it, and it's called Olipop. And I said, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, that's what that diarrhea is. So use my fake code to get 10% in the comments.
Awesome. And what we're going to do real quick is we're going to get to our pre-show exclusive, our Urban Dictionary. And just click random, and whatever pops up is what the term of the day is. So the Urban Dictionary, a meat spinner is the art of spinning an artificial penis while receiving it in the you're spinning you're spinning it around. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, our audio is cutting in and out.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's okay.
It would, every time you'd go to explain what a meat spinner was, it would go silent, and I'm like, I'm gonna read his lips.
Here, let me, because for some reason it had said that my internet was unstable for a short second. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that might have been why. But all right, so what I'll do is, just in case anybody live didn't hear it either, I'll go back into it. The meat spinner is the art of spinning an artificial penis while receiving it in the anal cavities.
Oh.
So, yeah. So I don't know how that quite works, but I'm sure somebody has done it, because if somebody put that on there and like, where do you just, like, I mean, do you just,
well, I guess you could
muscles?
like, well, I was gonna say, I guess what you could do is, like, if it has a suction cup bottom, you put it on like a floor, you stick it in your ass, and then you just go around like one of those toys you had as a kid where you'd keep cranking the wheel and you'd go around in circles.
You just, it geared you up. I always said that it was a great test for the teacups. When you go to the carnivals, you could spin around the teacup. So yeah, but like hearing that, I think of, if anybody's ever seen what I like to call the dick saw, when someone puts like the dildo on the end of the sawzall, it's like,
Yeah.
But something like that would be more of a dick drill, like I would imagine, if it's spinning.
Yeah. Well, you'd almost want to call that a jackhammer. It's just getting it in the butt, just going around in circles. Well, so I mean, meat spinner.
Yeah,
that's interesting. The only like phrasing and idea that came to mind for me was when I'm too lazy to wash my dildos by hand, so I throw them in the washing machine, and it becomes a meat spinner.
And it has the same adverse sound as a cinder block in a dryer, but instead it's just a bunch of cocks in a washer. And that's,
yes.
So.
Well, see, I came up with my own Urban Dictionary term yesterday. I said ocean spray is whenever you have your period and a yeast infection simultaneously.
Makes sense.
I don't know why they don't seem to like a lot of my submissions. They're like, these are foul and upsetting, and I was like, that's the point. I don't know why. Yeah, they won't catalog any of mine.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary is like, we're gonna go woke. Like we're not gonna.
It's very upsetting. I'm like, it's because I'm a woman, isn't it? They're like, you just talk about vaginas and periods all the time, and I'm like, it's my God-given right. Yeah. I've got a hole and I plan to use it.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're sorry, but you know, we're not going to allow this to happen. This just isn't going to fly. You know, we're going to have to, you know, censor this a little bit, you know, just touch it up a little bit, because you may post this on Facebook, and, you know, God forbid, once Mark Zuckerberg sees this, you know,
they can edit it
to the metaverse. It's not going to happen.
They can edit it all they want. If they're going to do that, fine. I'll just start calling my pussy a cranberry bog.
What they should do is they should take Urban Dictionary. They should make an Urban Dictionary version in the metaverse, and you're like wearing like an Oculus, and you're just kind of like, boom, Urban Dictionary, and you go in and you pull up a definition. And what happens is, at that point, when you pull up the definition in virtual reality, whatever it is just starts happening, and it's just kind of like, oh, I need to know what a meat spinner is. So you're just sitting there, you're like, oh no, I gotta get out of here. And it's like, you cannot exit. You need
like
to find out where
orange, and they're just holding your eyes open with the eye drop.
We are now going to drop dildos in a washer. No, get out of here.
I've seen girls put them in their dishwasher. I don't know how to feel. Part of me is like, yay, good for you, like, save time. But I'm like, I guess it's sanitary. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never stuck my dildos in a dishwasher. So I mean, I don't know.
I've done it, but I have to make sure I buy the right brand though of dish detergent, because I only use Finish.
Because you need to finish the job.
That's right. Or you can use palm olive.
Yeah. And it's weird though, because sometimes a dishwasher, like I'll use a dishwasher, and you'll pull that thing open, and the fires of hell like the smoke from the fires of hell come out of that thing. So it's like, just imagine you put 10 dildos in there and you pull them out and they've molded like the shape of like a small child. So now you have like small dick boy that's like now coming out of the dishwasher because
have you followed at all some of the weird, I don't know what they specifically call it. It's like fetish TikTok or like weird dildo TikTok where like these creators make molds, like make their own dildos, but they are not normal dildos. They're like tentacles and tongues. And yes, you have got to look this up. It's like fetish TikTok. And they are in all kinds of alien shapes and like very sci-fi kink. I can't tell if I like it or not. I think I'm confused.
Yeah, I gotta look that up. Like I'm not a big TikTok person. My wife is right now. She's stuck on Taylor TikTok because she's a Swiftie, and all of TikTok was just nothing but Taylor. And it was funny because her and her cousin are big Swifties, and they listened to the new album, and they're sitting there and they're like, "Hey, yeah, it sounds different." I'm like, "I don't fucking know. It sounds like the same fucking song to me." Like, same song. I don't know. Like, it sounds the same. So
it all sounds like someone who owns 10 cats.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I told people I always felt like Taylor. So I've never really thought she was that attractive. I always felt like that she looked like someone out of the movie Cat People. And that's what I tell her. Like when I tell people, I'm like, I feel like she should be in the movie Cat People.
Well, she was in the movie Cats, the musical.
Yes. When they said that, I was like, it's all starting to come true. I was right. She's a cat person.
Yeah, she gives off very Barbie vibes. And not trying to say that she, like, there's parts where it seem very human, very normal, but there's something very plastic and immovable about her that I'm just like, I don't understand any of the experiences you're singing about because I don't think you're the one that had them.
Yeah, and it's also weird to me that she like doesn't want to show her belly button. And I'm like, do you just have an ugly belly button? Like, I don't understand. But also it's like she doesn't want to show her belly button, but she's also has written a song about like 12 men that she's like been with over the time. So it's like, how many like when you're with someone, it's like you're terrified. Like put it this way, she was with Jake Gyllenhaal for 3 months. I know all this bullshit because my wife's a huge Swiftie. So she's with Jake for 3 months, and she has ruined this man's life via song. She's like murdered him via song.
I approve.
So many times over the years, and it's just kind of like that dude's probably just sitting there like, Jesus motherfucking Christ.
Which here's what I love about that though, and I'm not gonna drop any names and dates. I love like podcasts that are gritty, dirty, but like I gotta play nice sometimes. But the reason I love that though is a lot of shit, no matter what industry you're in, and for me it's comedy. A lot of shady shit goes on behind the scenes, and it's wild how you get treated specifically as a woman. And baby, do I got stories. And I may have only dated the person for 3 months, but I'm like, oh boy, if you don't think I'm going to talk about you on stage to your face, I'm going to do it. Like there's this open micer named Connor Madison that I fucking hate. I love shitting on Connor. Connor, you watching? Get fucked. Hate you. He's the fucking worst. And every time it comes up, people are like, oh, why do you hate him so much? You guys didn't like date or whatever. I'm like, yeah, we fucked twice. Just, it's not even, I'm not gonna say bad sex. So after I'm hooking up with this dude, we're on the way home from Philly. I brought him to my shows with me. And on the way home, he's like pissing and moaning that he bombed all his shows. And I was like, go figure. But to make him feel better, I was like, look, if I didn't see anything in you, I wouldn't even be fucking you. Like, I think you're kind of funny. It's going to be okay. And he responds, why would that make me feel better? You fuck everybody.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do that. All right. I was like, first of all, I only fuck you because I can write you off on my taxes every year as charity. I was like, let's be very clear. I was like, if you talk to me like that the rest of this trip, I will pull off the side of the road. I will slit your throat. I will bury you. And then I'm going to tell your family you moved to LA to pursue your dreams. And your mom's going to go, oh, thank God, because I can't do another one of his bringer shows.
Nice.
So Connor, if you're watching, I hate you. I absolutely hate you.
And,
Girl.
And real quick, what I'm going to do, we're going to take a very, very quick break. I just need to step away from the computer real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, my apologies. As I said earlier when we were talking, like I think I'm going to at Wendy's when I'm done on Twitter and be like, look, you fuckers, because normally I'm really good with holding my pee throughout a whole entire, but like normally when we go and like I forgot who was Matt, my co-host, when we interviewed you. I'm not sure if it was Matt or Socrates, but both of those guys always throughout the program always get up and go, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Cause normally I'm still here and I can talk, whatever, live. And it's like, this time I'm just, my bladder's just kind of, I'm sitting there and I'm in the bathroom. I'm looking down, I'm looking at my dick and I'm like, let it all out. Let it all out now. Like, I don't want to put you in the dishwasher later. Let it all out.
Well, I was going to say, don't be embarrassed. I make Erik call me while I take a shit. And he just hears me going, it's so messy. He's like,
just walk me through this. I need guidance.
He did once. I almost pooped myself on the side of the road, and he had to talk to me for 45 minutes till I got home so I wouldn't poop my pants.
Nice. And that's what our friends are for. That's what.
Correct. We did poop lamaze. He's like, you're gonna want to poop, but he's like, you're not gonna do that. He's like, you need to go he, and then you got to go who. He's like, you're not gonna be. He's like, don't you dare drop a deuce in that tiny ass car of yours. We didn't. I owe him everything.
And speaking of poop, that brings me up, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. That whole thing with that huge piece of shit Travis Scott, like that whole concert, like, oh my god. And you because you're a performer, I'm a performer, and there's so many videos that have emerged of people stopping their shows over somebody just needing water. And it's just kind of like this dude, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's a Satan worshiper, like he's watching the souls leave their bodies or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, it's like, just imagine that. He's sitting there, he's like, let's rage. And it's just like, let's die, motherfucker.
Which is so like the dumbest thing I've heard in all of this, because I am a Satanist. And I'm like, yeah, we don't do that, but that's hilarious. Yes. So it's really controversial. And some people may not agree with me. I find two ways I fall on this. On the one hand, I absolutely believe that if you, from your stage, you're the performer, from your view, if you see something wrong, you stop your show. So I 100% am against him on that. But there's also a part of me that sees a lot of things that led up to this to get that situation to where it was. And I think there was a huge failure on a lot of people's part. So the idea that it falls solely on the performer, I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot that went wrong.
My thing is Live Nation, the security crew. I remember 98 Rock, Justin and all, and they were saying that there was a security guard that pulled out last minute. He's like, look, it doesn't sound like it's for me. It doesn't sound like it's being organized well, blah, blah.
Right.
And everything fell to shit. And my main thing with Travis Scott is the fact that when that ambulance rolled through, at that point, 100%, even if you go, hey guys, look, chill out, give them room, we'll continue to rage once this is done, give them room.
Right.
Instead, he's still going, and you have these idiots climbing on top of the ambulance. And, so, I mean, I don't know, like, because I come from an industry where the show goes on. I mean, Owen Hart during a wrestling show, yes, they stopped the show, get him out of the ring, rush him to the hospital, but the show continued after that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, my point was, you could have at least stopped, stopped and acknowledged it and said, hey, let's get these people some help, and then we'll continue, or whatever. But it's such a weird situation. And then someone also did a Simpsons illustration. Like I think a lot of that Simpsons predictive stuff is just really good artists drawing up like Simpsons stuff that, and now they're posting in a line going, oh, the Simpsons predicted this. And it's just kind of like, because there's too much.
Well, I think the reason the Simpsons seems so prophetic is because I think you have a lot of really good writers who are looking at society for what it really is, even if it seems like a fun show. And some people call it stupid over the years, whatever. I think a good artist, whether it's visual artist, writer, musician, anything like that, I think they feel ahead of their time because they see humanity for what it is, and they see the dark side, that some things, even though 2021 looks nothing like 1921.
Yes.
I still think people are the same greed, the same selfishness, same bad behaviors.
Without question. Like, I mean, the whole thing is like, for example, shout out to the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. Me and my wife visited the beautiful Biltmore Estate when we were in Asheville, North Carolina. And I remember making the comparison that the Vanderbilt family who owns that house were kind of like the Jeff Bezos of that era. Like they had such a big area of land, the house was gigantic. It had a pool, it had a bowling alley, it had state-of-the-art kitchen shit. And it's like, so you look at it and it's like, yes, like, things remain the same. They just change very, with the times.
Right.
But everything just remains the same. It's like, whoever's here then will still be here then. Whoever's here then will still be here then. That's just the way, there's no ends if or buts about it.
And I think, I'm trying to think who specifically it was. I want to say it was possibly Mark Twain. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But I'm pretty sure it was Mark Twain who said, for all of men, deep in their hearts, they're really just waiting for the end of the world. And I think that there's a sense of doom and darkness surrounding the world right now. In 2021, we thought that like 2020 was the worst it could get. And yet we're looking at even more increased unemployment. We're looking at huge crime rises across a lot of our cities. California is having a lot of their stores shut down because people are purposefully going in with calculators, knowing they need to steal under $900 worth of merchandise to not be arrested.
Yeah.
So like things are really horrific, but at the same time, it's like humanity doesn't really change.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like the whole thing is with that whole thing with California, like if I'm in California and I'm sitting there, I have a cart full of shit and somebody just sits there and walks out with trash bags full of stuff. At that point, I'm looking left, I'm looking right. Fuck this. I'm out.
Yeah.
At that point, why should I pay $400 for all this?
Right.
Shit? You're just letting Joe Schmo, this crackhead, just walk out with all this shit that they're obviously going to sell and buy drugs and probably die in about an hour anyway. So,
and I look at the Travis Scott thing and I see a lot of people, I forget, like, so sorry, what our age difference is, right? I'm 29. What would I say? Like,
so yeah.
What? Oh my God, Daddy, you don't look it. But so there's like, I'll say our age range. There are people our age and obviously younger. There's like this obsession with fame, but like maybe not doing anything to be worthy of it.
Yeah.
Like this idea that like I'm special just because I am what I am. And I look at Travis Scott's like entitlement and other artists like him to where they have no respect for the people that call themselves your fans. There's lack of respect for human life. It's just the idea that like, I am great because that is who I am. And if you're not like me, then fuck off. And it's so bizarre to me.
Yeah. And it's crazy because that thing that came out, like the message from him, like the statement he made or whatever and all that, I looked at that and not saying that the man's uneducated, but I read that and I looked at a picture of him. I read that. I looked at a picture of him. I was like, he did not fucking write that. Like,
correct.
100% did not. That was his PR person trying to pick up the pieces and clean shit up.
Correct. And not even just his PR person. You obviously know that Kardashian family pocket is just making its way around where they protect everybody that's in their circle.
Oh yeah. Without question. Yeah, because I forgot he dated one of the Kardashians.
It's Kylie. I want to say it's Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, so many of them with those rich girl names or whatever they have. Kylie, Chloe.
Well, and like that's another great example of all these people, because it's either Kylie or I feel like an idiot. There's like two of the younger ones that are Jenners. and one of them was considered the first or the youngest female billionaire, self-made female billionaire. Oh, yeah. And I lost my mind. I was like, you are not self-made. There's not a thing about you that's self-made.
Yeah, and it's rich since day one. Since before you were alive, your family's been multi-millionaires, billionaires. Like that's
even before your dad was a famous athlete. Your mom was busy cheating on her first husband. So I just this whole family. I cannot hang out with girls. I'm so sorry. I'm all for being a beautiful woman, but I cannot hang out with other girls that worship that family.
I never got it. We watched the show here and there, but they got so annoying, and they're all fake. None of them have any kind of real body at all.
It's all correct. It's all fake. Chloe was recently torn apart, which she deserved to be, because
the ice cream stuff, the ice cream stuff or whatever. Yeah,
about saying fat people are disgusting, and then people were like, you were fat, right? Do you know that? Do you remember when you were the fat one? Did you say that about yourself? And and I gotta be honest, not to make this a body positivity moment, but somebody said something to her that blew my mind, because it's such a good piece of advice, and it was incredible, because they were talking about her behavior, and they were like, you cannot hate your body enough to suddenly love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you can't hate yourself into liking yourself.
Yeah, I hate myself so much I love my own self. It's wait,
what? Yeah. I hated myself into looking prettier, but it's no, I don't think you like yourself any more than you did before, you fake flat ass piece of shit.
And what we're going to do soon is we're going to be starting the regular audio portion, which will air on all of our major podcast platforms. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Hopefully soon, Addi Lee will be joining us in the room, and we'll admit her in. But what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up our pregame episode, which is exclusive here on YouTube at the beginning part of every episode. And we're going to roll right into our regular weekly broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, I'm Ray. Matt's not here this week. We're being joined by our good friend, comedian Ashley Pontius. She just came right off of the Quality Time podcast and joined us here. If anybody listening at home, and of course, for those of you watching right here on YouTube Live, we had a lot of bonus content. Make sure you go over to our YouTube, subscribe. We had a lot of stuff on there, tackling various situations, various stuff, talking about, Erik walking you through poops, talking about, explosions of Wendy's cups. I had to actually, for the first time during a live broadcast, get up and use the bathroom because I had a military grade bomb Wendy's beverage before I went on air. And it's just, it literally took my balls and it just spread my balls like a piece of curtain, put its head through and was like, hey, you remember me? Okay, yeah, let's go pee now.
Ray, you had a trough of soda, a pig trough of soda.
No, I had a Rubbermaid container with, have you seen those videos on TikTok where they're taking metal straws and they're trying to puncture them through something?
Yes.
They pull out a Rubbermaid container and they shove one of those metal straws through it, and they're just kind of like, here you go, there's only one ice cube in this, but go ahead and just drink this right up.
It reminds me of losing my virginity, just so tight.
And I told some of the guys, and of course, this coming Friday, the 19th, we're going to have our first Friendsgiving episode where me and Matt are going to have a bunch of our friends on, and we're just going to talk. And we have a big group chat, and we talk about all kinds of fucked up stuff all day long. And I sent this in the group chat. I was coming home from work on Friday, and I'm driving down 695. It's like 695 or 702 meet. So you're sitting there, I'm just sitting there driving. This guy cuts across 3 lanes, cuts me off, almost runs me off the road or whatever to get on the 695 heading towards Sparrows Point, towards Dundalk. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this motherfucker. So I had an opportunity where I could catch up to him to look over and give him the finger. I'm like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna wreck this guy's weekend. I'm gonna give him the finger. So I pull up and I look over and everything changed. As soon as I looked over, everything just changed. Like I was like, I can't give this guy the finger anymore, because I look over and I just see this chick's head just going, just giving him a number on the highway. So in order to be driving on 695 at 3:55 p.m. broad daylight and just having someone just go at it on you, and I'm like, I can't give this guy the finger anymore. Like, this is respect at this point. Like, I was confused at the point that he's in the driver's seat. So he's in the driver's seat, and pretty much it's not like she went across the passenger seat like the traditional roadhead situation would be. It's not like she went across. She came from this way. She was like over, like I saw her ponytail here, and it was like this. So I'm like, is she like kind of hunched down? Like, where, like, is his feet controlling the pedals? Like, are her feet, like, based off of his reactions, are her feet controlling what the vehicle is doing? And he's just so, or she's a contortionist, or she didn't have legs. That's
so here's my theory. This is so serendipitous. What if I told you it was me?
Well, whoever it was had really dark hair. So really, unless you were wearing a wig, and that's fine, but
not anymore.
If you wanted to claim to it, it looked like he was having a great time.
God bless. What a fun way to pass rush hour.
Yeah. I mean, like, just imagine that though. Like, you die in a car accident. It's like, how did he die? Like, I mean, that'd be like the way to go.
Hell yeah. But I used to do that when I would drive in DC, and I was fucking this one guy at one point. So I was driving, so I couldn't give head, but I would treat his dick like a shifter. And I'd be sitting there cranking it while I was driving, and people would be like, "Oh, that girl can drive stick shift." And I'm like, "Yeah, you bet I can."
Well, that like you saying that, I always wanted to meet someone who could do reverse roadhead, and that's pretty much as you're driving, but you're also, like, you come up, look, okay, then you go back down, come up, look, but you're still maintaining control of your vehicle.
The only way to really pull that off, you have to have a bunch of stoplights, because you can't, like, consistently, and you would need to have him be like, your eyes need to stay open while I suck you down tip to balls, dude. You cannot close your eyes. And it's just like red light, green light. That's the game. That's the only way to pull that off.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, because we were talking about it in the group chat, and Matt, unfortunately he's not here, but Matt was like, he's like, I wonder if it's ever worked the other way. He's like, I've never done it, but he's like, I wonder if anybody out there has ever given a chick roadhead while they've been driving. Like,
so I've never received roadhead.
Yeah.
But I have been fingered while driving.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad. It's all right.
Yeah. But just imagine, like, it's the kind of thing that after that, I was just kind of like, well, I kind of now just want to see someone drive down the road, just full 69, just whole 69, just down the road. Like, girl just boom, whole 69. And he's doing his thing, but he's also looking above, like just like right here. And he can just see what's going on.
That's just gonna get so messy, because I can't see all the fluids. But I would want to see, like, the baby carrier reach around where one of you is sitting on the lap of the other in the driver's seat, and you're just trying to, you're like, oh, and you're trying to drive at the same time, get a good feel. I could see that.
And of course, we're still waiting for Addi Lee to come in, and I haven't heard anything. And a lot of times, what will happen is Eastern and Central time will get mixed up, and we've had that happen before.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep on rolling along, and if she doesn't come through, the whole episode will just be us, and they'll get just us this whole episode. And it's weird, because with the whole 69 thing going on, if you like jerk the wrong way, like, just imagine, like, you sit there and you jerk and you hit the chair button on the switch, and you just go back, just instantly, goes back. It's like, at that point, it's like, do you just lay back like this, like not seeing, and just go like this and just pray for the best? Like, you're just lean back and you're just,
I've never been a fan though of 69 as a move. I'm a big girl, and it's just never, the move itself, I feel like for me has always been so overblown. Like, I don't need 69. You want to impress me, you pay a bill.
Yeah.
That's I'm tired of splitting the check. Tired. I want you to pay for all of it. Then maybe we'll 69. But now, you know what? I like 99. That's when we both have scoliosis.
Or what is it? And this is terrible. You know, I'm an awful human being, but you know, two people with Parkinson's having sex. Just imagine what that's like. You know, it's just, there's like a lot of shaking going on there. You know, with that, like, you know, just imagine that. Like, you know, you're sitting there, you're getting ready to go down, and he's just shaking, and it's like, are you nervous? It's like, no, I have Parkinson's, and it's just kind of like,
we'll just put a dildo somewhere and just let it shake while you put it in. You're like, we don't even need a vibrator.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok the other day that made me almost puke, but it was hilarious. This guy was in this girl's bed that he was hooking up with, and he had something in his mouth, and he takes it out and he goes, bro, what the fuck? She's got adult pacifiers. It was not a pacifier. It was a butt plug.
Oh, have you ever seen, speaking of pacifiers, I've actually seen online somebody, it was a weird video I saw, but there were adult pacifiers, but there were dicks on the end of them. Yeah, they were like little dicks, and they just stuck, and they're like, and I'm like, I was like, who created this? Like,
it's not little dicks, it's comedian dicks.
Yeah.
So they're full size.
Yeah, who's stuck, like whose idea was this? And I mean, like, it goes back to the whole, I'm driving home on Friday. Mind you, I almost died. I thought I was gonna die. What was it, on Tuesday? Because I don't know if you're all vaccinated up or not, but I am. And I was like, all right, let me go get the booster, you know, whatever, regardless of what people believe with the vaccine, you know, go with whatever, I don't care. You know, I'm not a big vaccination guy. I've never gotten many vaccines, but I'm like, doesn't hurt, whatever, you know, and I'm still alive. Like, it hasn't turned me into the undead yet, which everybody was kind of like, well, you know, it might turn you into a zombie or something. I'm like, what? I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna go feast like on somebody. Like, I'm right. Like, why would I not want to have that happen? Like, that's awesome. Like, you know, so I get it. And I was fine. And I was fine on the first two. And then I'm working on Monday, and I'm driving to New Jersey, and it's probably about like 10 o'clock. And it's as if I drove through a fucking Stargate. Like, I was fine. And then the next thing you know, where they hit me with the needle right here, it went up to my neck, and I felt it going through the veins of my neck, like down my arm and into my fingers. And I'm like, was I filled with antimantium? Like, am I getting like Wolverine's like antimantium?
That's
like,
terrifying.
Right now. And then all of a sudden, like, I felt out of it. My eyes glassed over, like my head hurt. And I'm just sitting there driving my company vehicle, like, well, this is it. This is where I die. And such a bit for like maybe 3 or 4 hours. I went into the customer's office to deliver a printer. And I went in, I don't remember anything they said. I don't remember being in there. Nothing. I was just so fucking just beating the shit. On the way back, there's a parking ride called the Joe Biden parking ride. So I stopped there, got a drink, walked around for about 10 minutes. And finally, I kind of came to. And the next day I was fine. I was like, holy fuck. Like, I went back to my office, and like, they saw it in my face, and they're like, dude, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a bad reaction to that shot. They're like, well, you can go home if you want. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Us for wrestlers, we don't do that shit. Like, if I'm dying, I'll go home. But the whole thing is, if I felt like this before a wrestling show, they're going to look at me and go, okay, these people pay to see you wrestle. You're taking your ass out there, and you're going to wrestle.
But you said this was your booster. You didn't have this with the other 2 shots?
No. But see, here's the thing. I was under the impression that the booster was like not as strong. It was like a booster shot, right? Called a booster. It's an actual dose. So I'm just kind of like, why don't they just call it the third COVID
dose? Yeah.
I'm going into it mentally, thinking,
That's
hey,
so weird though that you had no issues with the first two.
yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. So, I mean, the day after that, I felt fine. Like I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
this is great. Like I can tear my own chest open and be fine. Like, whatever. Like, but yeah, like that day I was like, well, I've never turned into a werewolf before, but I assume that this is what it's like to turn into a werewolf. So
I won't get it because I'm afraid I'll turn into an even bigger bitch than I am now, and I just can't have that.
yeah, and it's funny. Like I don't know, I don't know what it was, and it's funny because if anybody knows, and for those of you watching at home, I'll show it. But I have that big tattoo of the vampire girl on my arm, and she basically has become my pincushion. Like every time they ask me, where do you want a needle? And I'm just kind of like, oh, just stick it through one of her large tits. Like, I mean, it's
a great
fine.
idea, because then if you have an allergic reaction and it swells, she can
Oh,
have
yeah.
one big titty and one flat titty.
Yep.
Looked like she was breastfeeding for a week.
And have you ever, when you were a kid, and this doesn't apply to growing up life because even if you have done it, that's none of my business. But as a child, did you ever have to wear a leash, like one of those like child leashes? You ever see that?
Yes, I've seen the leashes. I never wore one. Unfortunately, my parents worked a lot and I was left alone at home constantly. So there was nowhere to take me on a leash. So I don't have that kink, but no.
The reason I asked is because when I was a kid, like I didn't really foresee wear a leash, but it was one of those things that when you're a kid, when you go in a grocery store, those bright, shiny like floors in a grocery store, you're just kind of like, oh man, I can run as fast as I can across these.
Yep.
And as soon as I would get into a store, I'd just gone. It would take like 30 minutes to find me because I'm running as fast as I can through the store. So
yeah,
went out and they got, when I was little, they didn't really have like kid leashes. Like no one's gonna let's put a kid on a leash. So they had these like little elastic things. It was like kind of like how when you get your blood pressure checked, it has like the arm thing that like velcros.
Yes.
It was that, but it had like the phone cord stuff.
Yes.
And it went from my arm to my mom's arm. And that was their solution. And like me as a kid, like I'm like 5 or 6. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at that thing. I'm like, this ain't gonna do shit. Like if I get up a big good like and like part of me sat there and thought as a kid, this might be the kind of thing where I run and it grabs and just flings me back like in like a cartoon. But I was like, I'm gonna test this theory. So I run as fast as I can. And as soon as I do, it just unvelcros from my mom's arm and it goes fly. The one side goes in front of me and then behind me and then in front of me. And I'm just running like Forrest Gump when the stuff's coming off of his legs. But instead it's just, I'm dragging this like elastic thing behind me. And my mom's like, like stop. And it stopped because my dad saw it and he stepped on it. And that's when the whole boom and me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You hit your head.
I didn't hit my head, but I shot back and like fell down or whatever. And yeah, I don't remember. I could have been beaten with that elastic cord afterwards from running or whatever, but I don't remember. I could have hit my head because I don't remember anything else more after that.
Did you ever have moon shoes?
Oh no, but I know what you're talking about.
So they had like these very like rubbery elastic casing all over the shoe, and I think you'd be wearing regular shoes and like strap yourself in, but it was almost trampoline style that you're supposed to be able to clobber around and bounce all around. And this was, I think we got these in the 90s, maybe early 80s. And at the time when you get them, you're like, this is so cool. Like, I'm going to be the coolest kid in the block. But they are incredibly heavy. And I cannot tell you how many times we would cry and think that we broke our ankles because you would just fall over. It was like having cinder blocks tied to your feet. And then you would try to jump with them. And I can't tell you how many times one of our little feet would come loose from the Velcro, which is why you made me think of this. And your foot would go through one of the rubber bands and you'd go over and your ankle would go like this. Constantly, our mom would be like, do we have to go to the hospital? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm going to try it again. And she's like, okay, great.
Well, here you go. Like with those, the first thing that popped through my mind is imagine wearing moon shoes. And this is something like maybe we can all get together and we can get like some moon shoes, like me, you, Tommy, Eric. Yeah, and we'll get really super drunk and we'll get moon shoes, but we'll also get a skip it.
I had to skip it.
Skip it around your ankle while you're wearing the moon shoes.
Oh, that sounds horrible. Yeah. Sounds like a projectile.
Yes.
But I had to skip it, and I loved the skip it. And even when I didn't love the skip it, I had to keep playing with it because I was an obese child, and that way I would get physical exercise.
Yeah, I used to love taking the skip it and putting it on my arm when I was outside and just shaking it around as hard as I could until it just went flying and ended up hitting somebody's car or some shit like that.
It was always fun until an adult wasn't paying attention and would get caught up in your skip it, and then you'd get grounded. And for some reason, it was your fault, not the adult, for not paying attention. But, you know, I didn't have brothers. I had 2 older sisters. They're 6 and 8 years older than me. But it was just like, I swear, for my parents, probably like having boys, because we would break things with the same amount of fervor. Like, we all played hockey because that's what we wanted. And we broke so many windows, so many cars got dented. My sister Amy broke 5 sticks one month, and mom said she wouldn't buy her anymore because she kept doing these slap shots that would snap the stick in.
Oh shit.
We were destructive for girls. It was wild. Like we had Barbies, obviously, and I was the youngest, and I chopped my one sister's Barbie's hair all off. She just this real horrible butch Cynthia cut. And my sister cried, and she was so upset with me. She goes, "I'll be back." And she's gone for like an hour. And I'm like, what's she gonna do? She made her punk rock Barbie. She made her pleather pants. She made her a black crop top, and she took the hair and she spiked it up. And I'm like, I think I might be a lesbian. Which now makes a lot of sense why I was so attracted to punk rock Barbie. Now we know. Well, so many conflicting feelings. I'm like, why do I feel this way?
When I was a kid, I used to always have the Barbies have sex with my wrestling figures, because my wrestling figures, they would go out, have like a 20-minute, like, just no disqualification, go through like 9 tables and all that stuff. Like, after the match was done, they needed a release. So, where did they go? To my cousin's Barbies. And that is just kind of like, okay, and she's just kind of, what are you doing? And I'm like, leave it alone. They're getting what they deserve. Okay. They just had a long, hard night of work.
You know what? That's okay. Healthy, young sex life. You knew even then, you're like, I want to be a wrestler who has sex with hot chicks. It's a great fantasy. So, what we used to do, though, we had a bunk bed. Did you ever try to do like bungee jumping with any of your toys, or like you do a really obnoxious stunts with your toys that would get them severely broken?
Yes. I used to like taking like the little G.I. Joe guys, and I put on like the biggest, like what was it? Bottle rockets that I could find, like the missile looking bottle rockets, and I would like tape them to it. Just to see how many of them would get blown off when the bottle would go off. And then there was one time, if you ever saw the mortars, you had to pipe for the mortar.
Yeah.
And you would drop it, and you had to do it with pristine skill. I had these like little tiny figures that were like this big, and you drop the mortar in and then drop the figure on top of it. And when the mortar shoots out, you see the figure shoot in the air along with the mortar, like how high the mortar goes or whatever. And it's just kind of like, I can only imagine that it's kind of like a cartoon. Like you drop the figure in there, the mortar's hot, so he starts to melt. Yeah. So it's kind of like holding on arms and feet to the mortar as it goes in the air. And you just kind of like, oh God, this is it. I know my testicles are going to be blown off my body right now, but dear Lord, this is going to suck.
Well, we used to do bungee jumping. We had a bunk bed with a railing, and we called it bungee jumping because we would take yarn and throw the Barbies over and be like, this is so fun. Well, I can now tell you, years later, I now understand my mother's feelings, because one day she comes home and everything's fine. She walks like into my bedroom, I think, to put laundry away, and she screams. And she goes, hey, I want to talk to you. She's like, are you having problems at school? Is anything wrong? I'm like, no. She goes, what's going on with the Barbies? Because it is not clicking to my little eyes that in my bedroom, it looks like a wall of the Taliban, because it is just nothing but Barbies hanging by their necks over the side of the bed. It is just hanging Barbies. And I'm like, they're bungee jumping. Goes, oh.
My children are serial killers.
It looks like I am the regime. I am just killing off all these women. And I'm like, in Russia, I hang you. Like, it looked, now looking back, I go, oh my God, I cannot imagine what that would have been like to walk into your kid's bedroom and there's 15 Barbies dangling by their necks off the side of your kid's bed. So, I grew up fine.
There's still a what is it? I think it's an Undertaker figure I had. I did a buried alive match with the Undertaker and Mankind in my backyard. Had the ring up in the backyard, and I actually and it was a double. I would never do it with a figure unless I had two of it. But I sat there and he lit the Undertaker on fire. So I put the lighter fluid on him, lit him on fire, and then he kicked him in the hole, and then I buried him alive. And this day, I often sit there and think, I wonder if the people who live in that house now ever did any kind of work and saw this half melted wrestling figure that was buried in the yard and thought to themselves, why is this figure half burned and why is it buried in a yard? Is my house haunted?
I think that all the time. I had the exact same thoughts after we moved. We had a bunch of pet cats that all died at one point, and we were very sentimental. So they're buried in shoe boxes all over my old backyard. And I've had the same thought that I'm waiting for someone to have done excavation. They're like, there's a lot of dead cats back here.
But no, they're in shoe boxes. So imagine that. They sit there and they dig it up, and then they sit there like, oh man, there's some Nikes buried back here. So they sit there, they pull the box out, they're like, oh man, I might be able to make some money off this. And then they open it up and there's just these mummified remains of whiskers. Just
Ray, I gotta tell you, I can't wait till they find my abortion. They're like, oh, are these New Balances?
No. Oh my God. What kind of sick why is there a Barbie with string tied around his neck in this box? And it made me kind of go back a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute. Was it really that your mom walked in and found Barbies hanging from the bed by their necks? Or was it all these said cats that are now buried in the backyard?
No, cats were her idea. Cats were their idea because they were like, what do we do with your dead pet? So that was country parent idea. But there were plenty of times, again, being the youngest. So back when no one used tampons and everybody used feminine napkins, as they used to call them.
Yes, the napkins.
With wings. Yeah, always with wings. When I was little, I once got into a whole bag of them and stuck them all over a lot of our nice furniture. And my mom came home and I was like, I didn't know you were hiding stickers from me. These are fantastic. And you try to remove them and they would take the paint off.
Oh.
So she hugged me through that one, but I could tell she died a little bit that day when she's like, you ruined a bunch of my precious moments.
There was a time where my mom, she was doing her nails. And I'm super young. I'm probably 4. I have no idea, what's going on. And so, she goes out to do something, make dinner, whatever, all that. I'm like, all right, you know what? If she can do this, how hard can this be? So she comes back. And I had painted every one of my knuckles because I didn't know she was painting her nails. I had painted every single knuckles orange. But it was great because she's like, why did you do this? So she's cleaning my knuckles off.
Yeah.
It was a deterrent from me really sticking her unicorn diary in the VCR as a cassette because it was the same size and it got stuck in there and it's making all this noise and it's just grinding into the bottom of her unicorn diary. And so it was kind of a deterrent. I'm just kind of like, look at my knuckles. Aren't they beautiful? So she cleans out. And then she came in and she's looking around and then she's like, do you know where my diary went? I was like, no, I have no idea where it is. And then a few days later, she went to put in a movie for me. And like, she's like, do you want to watch Ninja Turtles? And I'm just kind of, I think I'm going to go into my room. And she's like, all right, well, I'll put it on just in case you want to watch it. And like, as soon as my bedroom door closed, I heard, God damn it. Because I guess she went to put the tape in and she couldn't put it in there. And then she realized that her diary was, and my dad had to dissect the entire VCR.
Yep. Doing
and
the dad thing.
VCRs were like $200.
Yes.
Now they're like $15 at a flea market. Like,
correct.
It's insane. So
it was a big hardware. It's almost like the equivalent today would be like my kid shoved a cookie into my PS4.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of it. And it's crazy.
I forget, Ray, do you have kids?
No, we do not have.
Okay. So I don't have them either. But like, I'm going to say once every 3 months, I get the overwhelming desire to have one of my own. Yeah. And then I'm reminded of stories like this and I backtrack.
Yeah. Well, me and my wife, we've talked about it, and the way our lifestyles are, like my wife, like it takes her forever to get ready, like in the morning. Like, I'll sit there and be like, have you left for work? And I mean, she's a manager, she's salary, she can come and go as she pleases, she always stays late. So I'll be like, have you left yet? She's like, no, I'm not quite ready yet. I'm just, and that triggers us that, we want to be able to handle getting them ready. Like it would spark so many arguments. And like, my kid, Matt, he has 2 kids, and they love their kids to death, but they always tell me, I'm like, I want to be able to do it. We have a hard time when we go on vacation having people watch our dogs.
I know.
Like to watch a live child. A live
I know.
Child may potentially hate you, unlike our dogs who will love you and lick your face the entire time. Now we're going to leave you with these bastard demon spawns of mine, because I know anything that's wrong with them is coming from me. So,
No, I totally get it. I know. I go back and forth constantly because I'm about to turn 30 in the next year. And I'm kind of like, I kind of should make a decision, is like kind of the way I feel. But then I'm always afraid, for me personally, I'm always afraid that I won't have them and I'll deeply regret having not had them. But then when I look at how miserable all my friends are, I'm like, what if I have them and then my kids make me want to kill myself? And then I'm a bad parent because I was like,
you make your kids want to kill themselves.
Oh my God, I know. I don't want to have that either, to where everybody, like my kid leaves a suicide note and they're like, it's your fault. And I'm like, damn it. Why? Take care of you for $50 at CVS with a plan B. Look where it got us. Funerals are expensive. I know. And here's the other thing. So I'm single. I've been single for a year now. And I, at times, like, I don't know how long have you and your wife been together?
We have been together since 2010. So going on 12 years. So yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. So like, audience, like weigh in the comments, like hit us up over the next week with the episode. I'm dying to hear people's perspectives. So I'm a 29-year-old woman who's currently single. And there were times I was like, oh my God, I really want to get back into a relationship at some point. But I am like so disappointed by what's out there. And I want to hear from guys and girls, my she's, my theys, everybody. Yeah. I want to know, do you have the same feelings that I have, which are, I've just stopped looking. I can't find anything quality. I see people dealing with, like, you got an ex that won't pay child support, who's a horrible parent. You've got, a partner who's just generally unsupportive, who won't help clean and stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm fine by myself.
Or, I mean, what you could do is, have you ever looked into maybe having a donor? But what you do is they one of these, like, we were talking earlier on the pre-show. Make sure you check out the pre-show on our YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. You were talking about one of those dicks that just, suction. What you do is you get one of those, but you fill it with the donors, and then when you're ready, it has a little squeeze thing. You're like, all right, this is it. I'm ready. And then it's like, you sit there and be like, oh, no, not quite yet. Unload the thing, put it back.
I know. I have thought about it. And again, audience, we want to hear from you. I've thought about a donor because there's a lot of things about it that are safer. And in the sense of like, you don't have a lot of baggage, you can sign a lot of paperwork saying you're not, because my biggest thing has always been like, if it ever happened by accident, which there were a few scares over the years. But my thing always was, I would probably at that point in my life would have kept it. But I thought to myself, I want you to sign paperwork right now, legal paperwork saying either you're in or you're out, but you won't come back in and out. It's just the worst thing I've seen in our society today.
Oh yeah. And
it's just, no one deserves that. To have a parent that's like, I'm available right now because I'm into being a parent, and then a parent that leaves because they're like, I'm just not into it. So fellas, tell us, are you single? Do you have viable sperm? Follow me on Instagram.
Sound off in the comments. Make sure you find Ashley, find us. Let us know what you think. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get into our featured beer, which is a simple one. I always try to knock out whatever beer we have in our fridge just so I don't have to have it laying around, which is our good friends and my go-to, Bud Light. So make sure you go out, dress yourself in a blue knight's costume, a knight in shining armor, do some Maryland, the official state sport of Maryland, jousting, and drink yourself some Bud Light. And of course, with our featured beer comes along our featured shot, which I'm not sure if our featured shot was this the last time you were on or not, but it's our Metallica blackened whiskey.
Ooh, it was not.
Yes, Metallica's blackened whiskey is our featured shot. Make sure, always shout out to Sherry Nelson. She's the one who sent us this when make sure you find her episode. We told her we never tried the Metallica whiskey, so she had it sent out to us out of the kindness of her heart. Make sure you pick up the Metallica's Black album. Shout out to Metallica, shout out to blackened whiskey. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. This is starting to get a little low, and then we will be moving on to something once this is done. So
fellas, what I need is a shot glass full of cum. That's that as your measuring point.
And if you want to help her out, just extract some of it out into a shot glass. Find a way to seal it. Freeze it and just mail it to her. Just ask her what. Just be like, hey, I'd like to send you an item of some kind. And then all of a sudden, and just for some reason of anything, this will be the episode that blows up. And then the next thing we know, Ashley's just getting all these semen vials in the mail, and she's just
kind of a taste tester.
Yeah, like you could open up your jacket, and instead of having like watches inside of it or whatever, it's just be like, hey, I got some of this here.
I got some cum. Do you want Hispanic? I've got 40 age barrel crusted Irishman. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, what the shot glass is for, boys, if you want to send it, it's a taste test, because I need to taste it first to know if it's going in the other hole. So we need the sample. I need a sampler. Send me your cum mixtape.
Oh, yes. That's the best. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to Erica at the Rub PR. She hooks us up with a lot of our adult film guests. Something may have came up for Addi. I'm going to see if we can get a reschedule down the line. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into Ode to Humanity. And Ashley, you know how this works. You've been on our show before. So Ode to Humanity, we recently added, we took away 5-second rule because it started to get a little bit easy, and I didn't like a lot of the categories were just, they couldn't be weird like the way I wanted. Sure. So for this, we now have name 3. Okay. So for name 3, what I want you to do is I want you to name 3 ways to break up your family on Thanksgiving.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Come out as gay, announce that you have a mistress, be gay with your son.
Okay. And I think mine are finding out that your uncle is the father of your child, putting your finger right smack in the middle of somebody's mashed potatoes, because that can
go one.
A whole family war right there. Mm-hmm. Or taking the last, what is it? Those really good biscuits you always get on Thanksgiving.
The buttermilk biscuits.
Yes, the buttermilk biscuits, because what I like to do is I like to open them up and I'll sit there and I'll put mashed potatoes and I'll put like corn or peas or whatever, and then turkey on top of that and a little bit of gravy, and then just smush it together like some sort
of stop. I need a towel.
and then eat it like that. And God forbid if I can't do that because you ate the last roll, we're going to be having a knife fight out back. That's just the way it's going to work.
That's fair.
And then along with that, the second one is name 3 ways that you can stuff a turkey.
Oh, you mean like ingredients or just how you stuff it?
How you would stuff it. If you could stuff a turkey, how would you stuff a turkey?
Well, let's see. I would stuff a turkey with a dick if I had one, and then coat my dick in mashed potatoes. Just ingredient it.
And that also works 2 ways because it doesn't necessarily say that it's an already dead, ready to be cooked turkey as well, because you could also stuff the live turkey.
That made me so sad. I just had that image and I was like, oh, am I a turkey rapist? Like, I'm so sad. And then I'm just like, turkey, you're going to take it. And I'm like, yeah, take it. I took this country with manifest destiny. So you're about to take this dick. So let's see. So I do that. I would then fist the turkey with mashed potatoes. And then for my third, I would coat my tongue in gravy and just all up in that hole.
And mine, if I could think of, and of course you took mine, which was, literally stuffing the turkey. Yeah. And, so I think putting your head into the turkey and looking around, kind of like you ever see Mr. Bean, but like you put your head, you need to examine, like you just kind of need to look around and be like, hey, is this turkey good for what I'm about to do to this turkey? I just need to make sure you're the old school person who doesn't know how to make a turkey and leave the gizzards in the turkey stuffing with the turkey.
Yes.
Or you can just take the turkey and pull the legs up and you just pour gravy until you cannot pour gravy anymore into that turkey. And then you seal it closed and then drop it into a turkey fryer and hope that the gravy just kind of marinates into the soup of that.
Are you telling me you're going to give that turkey a gravy cream pie?
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Cream pie egg is what we will call the turkey.
There's a lot to be thankful for this year.
And then what we've also done is, I'm not sure, I think we may not have added it the last episode you were on, but we now do What Do You Mean?
I think we did do that.
Did we do what do okay.
I think we did.
I think you might have been the first one that we did What Do You Mean? What we're going to do is, it's this photo right here. For those of you listening at home, it's a haggard cat sitting on a chair with its arms out. So if you could meme that, what do you think that would be?
I'm going to say this image represents when Erik Woodworth tries to have sex with his wife and you're the cat that was just sitting there minding your business.
Like it, I would say when you buy the house that Ashley Pontius used to live in, you find all the shoebox cats in the yard with Barbies hanging by their necks in the bedroom.
That's actually fair. You just see these dead Barbies and you're like,
yeah. What is all these cats? And why are they in shoeboxes? You could have chose any other kind of box.
We call it Ashley's Al Qaeda.
Yeah, they just sit there and they're like, are these people rich? What's up with all, like, they had a lot of shoes. There's like 78 cats out here and they're all in shoe boxes.
Also, how embarrassing. They're not even fancy shoe boxes. They're like, is this Payless?
And that's right. Payless went out of it. There's no more Payless left, is there?
No. Well, it's all online now.
Oh.
They were bought out by, I think, like a Chinese retailer. So it's all online, but there's no more stores where you can go in and buy shoes for less than $20 that fall apart in 2 months.
Wow. Makes sense. Okay. But yeah, it's not like it's Fuddruckers and like, Fuddruckers leaves Maryland and then you go somewhere and you're like, oh, Fuddruckers is here. Like, why did us? I've
got a Fuddruckers in my town.
Yeah. Oh, do you? I know there
do.
was one in Annapolis, but it closed. I think it might have closed. I'm not sure.
Well, I've got one in Chambersburg, which is like 15 minutes from me.
Nice.
And man, I could stick my dick in that burger, let me tell you.
You know what I saw when we were on our way to North Carolina? I don't know if you knew of it or not. Shoney's.
Shoney's was my shit.
And if my wife wasn't driving, we would have went to Shoney's because she doesn't know of the Shoney's. And I was like, no, you don't understand. And she's like, well, what's so special about it? Because she's one of those types. She's like, well, what's so special? And I need to get it's like, I don't know. Like, it's great. All right. Look, I'm not going to give you in detail, 100% what it is. Like,
well, it's nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
Because I know we found I'm like a little bit younger than you, but for me, it was just like we'd go there for breakfast and I loved their breakfast menu. And they always had like these cute cartoon characters and I could color. And they had the cute, shitty plastic cups you'd bring home and have like 20 of. Yeah. And it was just such a family friendly restaurant that occasionally got shut down for health code violations. But it was a very fun place.
And what we're going to do is now we're going to move on to Incoherent. Do you remember Incoherent?
Yes.
Okay. So I got 3 cards. And what you do is you need to tell me what you think is on each card. So this is card.
Dig Beersing.
And if you need a hint, let me know.
Dig Beersing. Debriefing?
Nope.
Dig Beersing. I think I do need a hint.
All right, a hint is a sausage ring.
Sausage ring. Dig Beersing. Dig Beersing. De Beersing. I am not getting this.
Want the second hint?
Yeah.
The second hint is Pimp My Ride Anatomy Edition.
Dick piercing.
Yes, that's what it is.
Jesus. Prince Alberts aren't cute. I'm sorry.
My one friend, he got a crown tattooed on the head of his penis. We used to call him King Dingling, and then he got his dick pierced because he said the king needed a scepter. So,
has he been to jail?
No, he hasn't.
No. What?
But for one friend who got that friend's face tattooed on his ass at a strip club has been to prison. So I can only imagine how that worked.
Does he have more than one baby mama?
I don't think he has any babies, mama.
Oh, well, okay. Well, maybe that does make sense because nobody wants to mate with that. But okay. You tell him I said that's the worst thing I ever heard. Tell him for me to be like, this girl, Ashley, is like, I'm so upset. He will not give me sperm, by the way. I don't want it. I'm gonna tell him no.
You know what? When this is over, I'm gonna text Eric. I'm like, Eric, I need Ashley's address, and then you will get random. It will come with what is it? The King of Spades or whatever, and then you'll know because it'll be a king holding a scepter on the card.
It is going in the garden, and then it's gonna kill all the plants. I will not. I'm so sorry. Unless he's like crazy, stupid, cute. You better send me a picture. Otherwise, I don't want that dick. That sounds horrible. That makes me sad.
All right, and here's your next card.
2 Huey Finlived Pro. 2 Huey Finlived Pro. 2 Huey Finlived Pro. Oh, I might need a hint.
Gym membership.
What is it?
Gym membership.
2 Huey Finlived Pro. Do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift, bro? Yes. And the other one was often asked of people who clearly don't. That's what the other.
Yeah, I definitely would have had it after that. But yeah, once you said gym membership, I was like, oh yeah, that's where ugly people go to get pretty. Got it.
And then there's this one.
Fairy kin tushies. Fairy kin tushies. Fairy kin tushies. Need a hint.
Kinky undercover.
Ooh, fairy kin tushies. Oh wait, something under the sheets, right?
Yes.
Oh, freak in the sheets?
Yes, it's exactly what it was. And the second hint was don't judge a book by its cover, which would have kind of thrown.
Yeah, it's not a great hint, but
And now, of course, Ode to Humanity ends with Cards Against Humanity. And of course, it's Cards Against Humanity, the Justin Schlegel style, because he gave us his idea for doing it because, it was getting hard with people trying to remember what some of the other cards were. So we're going to do, let's see, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So I'm going to read off a card and then you're going to answer this card by giving us a number 1 and 6. So the first one is, what is the next Happy Meal toy? And then we just need a choice of 1 through 6.
Okay. Let's do 4.
4. All right. So 4. The next Happy Meal toy is shit. So are you satisfied with shit, or do you want a rebuttal? And whichever card that is will be the one that truly answers that card.
Yeah, let's rebuttal. Let's go with number 2.
Number 2. All right. So number 2. So 4 was shit. And then the next Happy Meal toy is an unstoppable wave of fire ants. So just imagine that, it's one thing opening up that little square McDonald's thing and seeing just a pile of just shit in that box. But imagine opening it and just fire ants just come out and just run up your arm and just start.
Do you remember when you could get the Power Ranger toys in your Happy Meal? I loved those. So I think the worst new toy you could get would be a white Power Ranger.
And it's funny because you heard they're doing away with the toys, right?
I know, which makes me sad.
It's like kids have no, but also McDonald's toys, and I know this because I'm a reseller. We talked about it a little bit on the pre-show.
Right.
They have no monetary value at all.
No.
I forever find them in random little packs of I'll get $5 grab bags of toys from the thrift store. And one toy that's worth something, and then the rest will be fucking McDonald's toys, and it's just
I know, but they were something I think just kids looked forward to. Kids love getting toys, and I would say I was always for them because I know some kids who maybe weren't as well off as my family. Just even getting something really cool and fun in your Happy Meal was a very cool thing, and they were also my bathtub toys because if they got fucked up, nobody cared.
Yeah, who gave a shit? That's I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I should miss my bathtub toys.
Yeah. Whenever she won't go down on you or play with your butthole, just get yourself a Power Ranger that you can sit on in the bathtub. Be a meat spinner.
About water getting in your ass because then you're just plugging your asshole.
Wait.
A McDonald's toy.
You're worried about water getting in your ass. I normally have water coming out my ass. You know what I mean? I'm sick. I'm always sick.
So the next round is, what is my anti-drug?
Oh.
1 through 7 for this one.
Let's do 1.
Let's do 1. Okay. So your anti-drug, what is my anti-drug? Chunks of dead prostitute.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that if you were to come across chunks of a dead prostitute, that may be your anti-drug, because whatever drug you are on, you will probably never do again. Now, Ashley, are you fine with that card, or do you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that card because honestly, if I was sober and found dead prostitutes cut up, I'd be like, you know what? Those girls, unfortunately, may have been on drugs, and you know what? I want to live, so I'm not going to do drugs.
And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off what some of your potential candidates were. One being a big black dick. The other will be rehab, switching to Geico, 1,000 Slim Jims, a lifetime of sadness, or ejaculating a quart of hollandaise sauce.
Oh, that's a good one. I still think I picked the best one because, gotta tell you, sadness is not an anti-drug. I'm on a lot of drugs because of unending sadness. So,
or what's the next Happy Meal toy? I didn't read off the other candidates, which were Thumb, the King of Fingers, free 2-day shipping with Amazon Prime, Mark Zuckerberg. Imagine pulling the Lizard King out of, your Happy Meal toy like that.
That would be fun. Like he's an anamorph, and you can change him.
Yes. You sit there and then you put on the metaverse like goggles or whatever, and you see him in his true lizard form or whatever. Like, yeah, that dude has the worst alien eyes I've ever seen in my life.
It's a viewfinder.
Oh,
you just go through his plans for world domination.
Yeah, you see him creating Facebook in a lab and the metaverse and what he plans it to be.
I like that.
And then the other one was trees with human skin. So
oh my God.
With human skin from your Happy Meal toy.
That sounds like a terrible toy, but you could do collect them all, or like some skins you're like, oh, these have tattoos, or like this one's got stretch marks.
You have every race. You have black skin, you have Asian skin, you have just all these trees with skin, but it needs to be the kind of thing where it's like this little tree. You plant it and it grows in like this big, like horrible, like Necronomicon looking, like
Necronomicon of tree.
Yeah, like, and it has like the face just in the middle. You're like, oh man, like I didn't realize from how little. It's kind of like when you used to, what the hell were those things? You would put them in like a container overnight, and they were like this big, and you'd wake up like the next day, and they grew like to like fucking like that size.
Oh, well, do you mean like the things you would put in water?
Yes. And you would put them, and it said based on how what you would put them in, they would grow bigger. And I used to always find like the biggest pitcher that my parents would. I would fill that fucker up, and it would be like the size of the pitcher. And then like I was like, oh, this is awesome. I poured it out, and I was like, this is gonna be the best. I'm gonna like have it like be like Godzilla destroying the city. And I never had a chance to play with it, and then it shrunk back down. I had to put it back in the water, and then it grew again. I'm like, I didn't know they shrunk back down.
Yes, it's just like a penis. It gets bigger, and you get excited, and then I see it start to deflate, and I'm like, oh yeah, it does that.
It just goes flaccid. Like the toy just went flaccid. Like
the toy was like, sorry, this happens sometimes.
But see, like, the thing is with those, what makes those grow? Like, I guess, do they fill up with water? Like what was the chemistry in
That's
that?
a good question. I don't know if I fully know either. That's a good question. We'd have to Google that, because I don't know. It was between those and the other things we would get in our stockings at Christmas would be those little vacuum sealed washcloths, and you put them in water, and then I
thought you were going to say sea monkeys. I literally thought you were going to say sea monkeys.
Never had sea monkeys.
Oh, they were the best.
Yeah. I don't think we had them because our parents thought they were an abomination to God.
Yeah, like they were alive, but they weren't. Like you never were too sure what they were. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, like I always kind of hoped as a child that like sea monkeys would kind of like turn into like the Planet of the Apes. Like sea monkeys would just take over the entire world. These like things that were like alive but not alive, and then like they just plot for world domination because of all of us giving them away on every major birthday and Christmas. And I want to be somebody's pet on a normal day. I don't want to only be given out on Christmas or a birthday. Like,
I feel like they kind of remind me of the creatures from The Faculty. Like there's just something about them that were very creepy. But like I said, though, I legit think that's why our parents didn't let us have them. There was something about them that was an affront to God, where they were like, we don't know if this combats creation or not, so we don't want to get into that. Me coming up after dinner being like, if God didn't make these, God's not real, and then just slap across the face, like, don't you say that. Don't you ever say that.
Oh my God. And of course, this is we're starting to get a little bit of short on time on the audio version of our program. And of course, we will be back again on Friday right here live on YouTube Live. Our next audio episode will be our Friendsgiving episode, in which myself and Matt will be sitting down with some of our close friends and talking about god awful shit. Some of the most awful shit you could ever imagine in your entire lives. More awful than probably some of the stuff we've talked about. More awful than some of the stuff we've probably talked about on a podcast. Or just regular level shit like we always talk about on the show. But and also I'm going to reach out and find out what happened with Addi and try to get a reschedule down the line. It happens, sometimes stuff comes up, there's emergencies, whatever. We've had it happen before. But Ashley, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it, because Matt couldn't make it, and then of course our guests, like, I have no idea what happened, so it would have just been me sitting here just kind of going,
I would never let you jerk off by yourself.
And of course, Ashley, make sure you remind everybody where they can find you online in case they do want to send you some samples. Yeah, I mean, actually, you can just put your address out there, and then that way, I can, even if I don't talk, I've lost touch with my buddy King Dingling, but if
I'm bringing people back together.
If he watches this, he knows where to send that sample. Like you'll know because they'll be swimming in reverse. Like they won't be forward. Like they'll
no. So look, everyone can find me mostly on Instagram at Ashley Pontius Laughs. If you do want to apply to be my baby daddy, send me a packet of your information, your family health history, a profile pic so I can decide if you're ugly or not. So that's important. But you can catch me, let's see. So this is Sunday. So you can catch me this Wednesday in DC. I'll be performing. You can find the details on my page. And the night before Thanksgiving, November 23rd at 6 p.m. in Hagerstown. So
nice. And make sure you go out and check out Ashley. I know myself, I got to get out. It's funny because I've had you, I've had Eric, I've had Tommy on the show, but I've been so busy. I've been meaning to get out and see you guys shows. Like I want to go to one where like all of you guys are performing,
Sometimes we do. Yeah. We, Eric and I, we'll put out the deets. Eric and I now have one in like Havre de Grace, December 3rd, which is a Friday.
Okay. All right. I'll see what's going on because I know, I know the podcast schedule, but I don't
of course.
It's one of those things we have to look at. But I'll definitely let you know or whatever and all that. Maybe me and the wife will come up and all. Also, for those of you watching or listening at home, we will also this Tuesday be on the Mike Wagner show. We're going to be on there promoting the Happy Hour podcast, telling him how the show began. Of course, he came in, he commented last week on our episode with Lean Shapiro. He said, I would love to have you guys on the program. So make sure you find the Mike Wagner show. Myself and potentially Matt will be on that show. I'll be talking a little bit about my background in pro wrestling, how the Happy Hour podcast came to be, and our old TV show, Happy Hour TV, which was, this is a spinoff of that. So, hearing the history of that will be, fun. And, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, this is how the podcast just rolled right into what that used to be. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Happy Hour podcast. Sorry that our guests couldn't make it, but, sometimes shit just happens and that's just the way it is. But, we will see you guys next week right here live on YouTube Live. And for those of you listening to us on all major podcast platforms, we will see you next time. All right. So the YouTube stream is done. Here, let me